Okay, this video is for reference because it's winter. It's late fall. We're going to be going through the winter season and Petey's going to forget. So what do you need if you're going to do a micro remote? Okay, well, we built the ZAM, which is a 10. I have a splitter pedal that I built that I use for my rig for the 2.1. So Gopti's Unicorn, coily cable, split. One cable goes right to the ZAM, or maybe EQ pedal. Then the other cable goes to the Korg Pandora, and then there's a stereo cable coming out of that, a magic cable that goes into the pair of 6.5s. This is a white box amp. It was a sub that you converted it with a 6.5 inch Hartkey, half aluminum, half paper cone speaker. And there's a pair of those speakers. One is in a white box, the other is a Bose 201. Okay. Now, what you'll do is you'll set up that Bose on one side of the ZAM and the white one on the other side of the ZAM. The white one has a stereo EQ with a 50 by 50. So you'll have wet, dry, wet for the bass. And I mean, it is what it is. You get that thing dialed in to where, you know, and like there's two sets of presets for the Korg Pandora. One of them, the bass on all of the EQs is set to 5, the other is set to 0. So depending on what you're running, if you're running a mono, just the ZAM, you use the +5 presets. If you're using the 6.5, you use the 0. So you're going to have to load that up into the Korg, depending on what you're going to do. And like, I haven't even tried this out yet, so I'm totally talking out my rear. I am going to set it up and try it. It's just, you know, finding time to do that during the day. Anyway, that's the bass rig. Your rig, there's a white outdoor speaker and a black outdoor speaker. Now they're behind like the monitor where Linnea used to sit by Gopti's station. Like Gopti's station, if she was sitting there, she took her left arm and reached around the amp. That's where they are. They're these outdoor. They go like whoop, and then there was a paper cover on the one, and you made a cover out of this weird fabric stuff. You made a speaker cover for it, but those are super loud. Now you have a gray. It's black, gray, and white. It's a bread container, and it's got a built-in EQ. And then that's your amp, you know. There's another one of those amps it's like a blue one, and it turns on when it's got a pink LED. And that one I don't think it has the built-in NJM BBE 2150 EQ. It's just a regular amp, and that's the amp that runs the mains. Now for the mains, it's kind of goofy. You use this bread container that has the MP3 built into it, and you go on EQ preset 5. Then there's a little switch which gives you the high end of the 2150 circuit. Now there's 2 outputs on that, okay? So for one output, you run, Donna, could you give me that energy speaker that's up there? There's this white energy speaker, and mind you, for the mains, which is the backing tracks, you run this guy, and its mate is a tweeter. It's a bullet tweeter that's in Gopti. The bullet tweeter is in a little black case that actually has a crossover built into it. Could you give me there's that little black speaker up there. So the idea is you're going to have, this is its own amp, okay? The MP3 player, here, you're going to take, this is the JVC, this is the bullet tweeter. Both of these go back. The idea, no, yeah, they both go back now. The idea is we have a high speaker system and a low, and the low is powered off of that other bread tin. And that's the energy sub that's over by the wildlife lamp, by the door, okay? That's got a 6.5 or something, I don't know, it's some kind of funky, like really low ND sub in that. And that's where you get your sub from. Now the other channel of that, see, we only have one of those energies. So for the mains, the other channel, you can use the DAS, you can use the Rockdale, but you really ought to use the 201 Bose that's over here. Used to sit underneath the kicker box kicker. That 201, like we did a remote at Delwood and we used this 201 that had the heart key in it, and man, okay, I'll see you. Compty's going to get a pizza. That 201 is a good choice. Now there's a Paradigm speaker sitting right above it that the original woofer was blown, and I put this woofer that came out of a Boston Acoustics sub that's a little bit, it's like, the original speaker was like a 5.5, and the one that is in there is a 5.25. So I made some brackets out of metal tape for it to fit, and it's not really not bad. Like that's what you should bring. You should bring that Paradigm, okay? The reason that I'm being weird about the Paradigm is because originally there were 2 of those speakers in this house, and both of them, the foam surrounds were bad in them. So I tried gluing them and stuff, and now I ended up throwing one of them out. The other one is on top as the 3rd speaker from the Echo Box from Fuzz Lab. So yeah, the whole thing of this hinges on like, what do we use for the other channel for the mains? Because we have that energy, and that thing is awesome. It's awesome, awesome, awesome. And that's really what you want to use, but then you're going to have to find a mate for it. So until we find some studio monitor quality, like really good speaker with at least a 5.25, that's going to be up in the air. And like I really recommend, like just go with the Acoustimass or the 201 or the Paradigm. I mean, the Paradigm, it really isn't bad. We A-B'd them, and there really isn't much difference. There really isn't. I mean, you could just as well go with one of those Minimus 7s. I mean, it's supposed to be the micro rig. Now, here's where it gets funky. If you're going to go to Delwood, okay, bring bigger stuff. Bring as big as you can. Don't skimp out if you go to Delwood. If you're going to Delwood, bring a Gauss speaker for Compty, and bring, see, here's the thing with the micro rig is, like, my speakers are so freaking loud, and you can get really loud with that energy and the 201, okay? That Bose 201, that's really loud. Or whatever you got. You know, there's these clip speakers over here. We could use those. They're just sitting there. It's a little pain in the ass to get them out. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to go to Delwood, don't skimp. And by skimping, I mean for the PA, for the mains, just use the DAS and the Rockdale. Or if you really have your heart set on that stupid energy, that you could do that. But I'm telling you, the high end is nice, having those extra speakers, and I don't remember if we used those. Yeah, I guess we did at Delwood. I had been up for a couple of days, so I was kind of sleepy. But what I'm getting at is when we left Delwood, I was like, man, number 1, Compty's bass. Number 2, the mains. So, because my speakers are unbelievably loud. They're awesome. Those outdoor speakers are excellent. So I've got to go through, you know, there's speakers upstairs that Gopti, you know, we've got some better stuff. There's speakers in Dahlia's room. There's Sherwin Vegas. We can up this and we can get better. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to go to Delwood, and I know you are, don't skimp out. Don't skimp. Bring, bring a SLA and run whatever amp you hook up. There's that 60-watt orange one. Run the stupid, what do you call it? The tone mender amp. Run the tone mender amp through the Gauss 12. Or there's that Phonic. That Phonic has that EV12 in it. That's a bass speaker. That's what you need to do. Okay, here's what you got to do. Get the Phonic, switch the speaker from the Phonic and the JL. That's what you got to do. I'm doing that tonight. And then for micro rigs, you could have a 12, that EV12 in the JL, and run. I'll just need to either build an amp into that, or Gopti has her rack amps. Those are 50 by 2. You know, you could take the JL on one side and a Gauss on the other, and have a little stack for her. Because it's stupid. You're in a band shell. I mean, how many times in your life are you going to have that? And then at that point, like, really, okay, thinking about this, there's these mains, there's these 12-inch speakers that have switches to shut the tweeters off on them. They're old. They're like, they're Jensen 12s with like Alnico magnets. So, I mean, at this point, it's getting crazy. There's another 12. Like Linnea's wedge 12s with the individual battery, like those, we could use those for, like, why not? For the mains. Those have horns and everything. Like, that's a great idea. So the point is, if you're going to Delwood and you're going to play in the band shell, the little setup for me is fine, but for Gopti, that's the main thing. You need to do a flip-flop, because the Phonic is a little bit too big to be lugging around, in my opinion. The Phonic is like, it's just stupid. Put it in the JL, and then build an amp. Build a bass amp. I'm thinking I just threw away that chassis from that PV. I'm going to go grab that thing out of the garbage. All right, that's about it. All right.